We're
Hello.
back.
We're back. I'm Caroline,
And I'm Megan.
and this is
The
the
Songwriter
Songwriter
Diaries.
Diaries. Today we have a very special episode with one of my oldest friends, Nicole Miller. We grew up in Iowa together at the same high school. My high school was getting such talented people. We also
Oh
had
my god,
a previous
seriously.
guest, Lily DeTay. Um,
Dang.
I and Nicole Miller and me, if anybody thinks I'm talented,
I think you're
um,
talented.
which depends on the day for me, but um, we got all these people, and it was so good to talk to her. She is the best and so wise,
She's so
and
sweet and so talented and so wise.
yeah, she's incredible, and we can't wait to see what she does
Hmm.
in the next year, and I mean in the next lifetime, but
Absolutely. But I feel like the next year for her is going to be huge. So,
yes, yes, so excited. Also, we relaunched our Patreon. And
woohoo!
we are going to be more present on there, or at least
Hmm.
that is our goal. And I'm speaking it here so it holds us
Speaking
accountable.
it into being.
Yes. And I have a single coming out next week,
Ah!
in a week from tomorrow when you're listening to this, the
Hmm.
22nd of February. And I'm thinking about leaking it on Patreon
So,
for all of our patrons. So if that's something you'd be interested in, head on over to our Patreon. And also just to support us.
yes.
And Meg will release their music as well.
Yes,
Um,
absolutely. All of these links will be in the show notes as well. So scroll on your phone or wherever you're listening and click the join Patreon link to join the Patreon family.
it's very self-explanatory, and
It's
it's
very
only
easy.
$5 a month. It
So
is
cheap.
less than your coffee because I know
Literally
you all
less
are
than a
getting oat
coffee.
milk.
Anywho, enjoy this week's episode with Nicole Miller.
I hate it so much. Oh,
Hello.
hello.
Hey, how y'all doing?
Oh, we are so good.
Oh my
We
gosh.
today have on the lovely Nicole Miller
Yeah.
Woohoo!
to talk about her songwriting and her musical journey thus far. So,
I'm so
Nicole,
excited.
Hey, thanks for having me, you guys. How fun.
Oh my
we are
gosh, we're so
so
glad to
excited.
have you.
So
Yes.
great. So where are we all right now? Is everybody, are you in Colorado, Megan?
I am. Yes.
And Caroline, you're here in Nashville, or are you back in Des Moines right now?
I'm in Nashville.
Okay,
Yep.
nice.
Yep.
And you're in
So,
Nashville, Nicole.
Yeah.
Yes. Love
Yes.
it.
yes.
In my lovely, really messy, totally hiding all of the garbage from my last two rights on the table behind me.
We love it. Yeah, Nicole and I go way back. Friends
Yeah,
since high school
I know. It's
in
been
all the
probably
choirs
what,
together.
7, 8 years now?
Yeah. No,
That
we graduated high school in 2016.
oh, I don't age
So
us.
it's
Oh
been like
no.
10
It's
years.
been like 10 years. We've been friends for like 10 years. That's crazy.
Yeah.
That's wild. I
Wow.
love that.
Now you
I
live
s-
in Nashville with me. And
yes.
we're both so busy. We hardly get to see each other more than
I
we
know.
did when we lived in Iowa. I know it.
Yeah,
But
it's fine. You know, you can
I'm
just
glad we
Say
get to
love
do
you.
this.
Hmm.
I
Me
love you.
too. Well, I'm really excited to hear all about your journey as a musician, and I'm ready to dive in. So, why don't
Let's
you
do
just
it.
start by telling us a little bit about yourself and how you got started in the music industry?
Yeah, so like Caroline said, we've known each other for a while. We're both from West Des Moines, Iowa, and my parents are actually in kind of a rock and roll R&B band. And they've been in a few different ones all the time that I was growing up. And when I was, gosh, I mean, young, like 10 and under kind of situation, my parents had a band that they were in that would practice in our basement. And I just remember growing up putting my ear to the floor when I was supposed to be asleep, but I would be in the top floor of the house falling asleep on the bathroom floor with my ear up to the vent trying to listen and to my mom sing, and my dad was a guitar player, and I just remember deciding like, oh, my parents are rock stars, so I want to be a rock star. And I wanted to learn to sing like my mom, and ended up doing a lot of community theater and semi-professional theater growing up, and studying opera, like doing everything I could to just get as much music as I could, go get home from school and I just sit in front of the piano and write and sing and just try to figure out what I liked so much about music and be able to put it to words, I guess. Um, because I think before I figured even the writing aspect of music out, I knew that there were, you listen to things, there's some things you like more than others.
Yeah.
Um, And so I'd sit and try to copy, artists like Sarah Bareilles and other people
Oh,
like that and just
yes.
learn how. I know, she's great.
The
Vocal
best.
acrobatics, like just trying to learn all that stuff until I finally was like, I think I would like to find my sound, which led me into writing, and had kind of, after studying music for that long, had to kind of make the decision, do you want to do professional musical theater and move to New York? And you know, I I as much as I respect opera, I had also been doing that at the time, and I respect it, but I knew my heart wasn't in it. Which really led me down to the path of maybe I can make a job out of this songwriting thing. So, applied for Belmont University here in Nashville. Went to Belmont for a hot second, just a year. um,
Love that.
before, yeah, it was great school. Seriously, great school, great people. I learned so much there. But I kind of had been spending time there writing, and I'd started missing class to go into sessions here in Nashville, and was dealing with some health stuff at the time, and just had kind of had this. Well, I've done a lot of classical training. I took as many music business classes as I could on the front end, and made the decision to drop out and just chase the writing and artist thing full time. And I've been lucky enough to get to do that. So it's been, I think I've kind of had my eye on the prize ever since I was like 8, 9 years old. But I think I'm still shocked sometimes that I get to do it as a job. So, it's kind of felt like a game, but in some ways it's, they always say do what you love and hope to call it work. So I'm really blessed to be able to do
Ah, I love that.
that.
I have a follow-up question with that. Are you signed with any publishers or anything?
Not right now. So I'm currently taking meetings, but
Ooh.
I I think the thing is you want to find your champion.
Mm.
And
Mm-hmm.
when I find that person, I think we'll both know. And it will be, and I've had some wonderful people that have championed me to get in those rooms and
Mm-hmm.
vouched for me and my craft. And I think it'll happen when it's supposed to happen, if it's supposed to happen. Otherwise, I'm just, I've got a couple cuts coming out this year that we're hoping to hear some radio time and stuff like that. And I'm like, I'll just get into those rooms and write with the people that will take me in the meantime, and just try to write the best songs I can and hope for the best.
I love that.
I'm
Yes.
so excited. Okay, wait. Are these cuts your songs or cuts for other artists?
Other artists I will be
Okay.
releasing too. So
Okay, good.
it's kind of that, I'm walking that line of writing for other people and really pouring time into especially specific artists that I really believe in and just love as people. I mean, that's the best part of this business, right? Is the people and the connection.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But I also haven't, it's been a couple years since I put out music on my artist project,
Mhm.
and I'm excited. We spent the last 2 years really figuring out what that's going to sound like and grinding into that sound deeper and deeper. And I feel like now I've got some of the songs, we're getting them recorded, got a few of them tucked in my back pocket. So we'll begin releasing those this year too. So we'll see what happens with that.
I'm so excited. Okay,
Me
so this
too.
goes into another question because I've talked to you about this before,
Yeah.
obviously not recorded. But would you consider yourself more of a songwriter or an artist, and why?
You know, publishers ask that a lot.
Mm.
And I think in some ways, I've never really latched on to one answer to that question
Mm-hmm.
because I truly believe that the songwriters that I know that are craftsmen that truly don't have any desire to put the songs out themselves, but know how to paint a musical moment in time are also artists. You know,
Yeah.
so it's but it's
Yes.
I think it's the thing about that is those people who are such good craftsmen and can get in there and lend their talents to any song in any genre and really say for that artist, help them pull out what they want to say. It's they have this ability to just take all the ego out of it and say, what can I do for you? And here's my story, all I can do is help you and relate to you. My story, let tell me your story, I'm going to tell you mine, and we're going to see what we can make together, right? um and I think the best way that I can think to answer that is how much I love that piece of it, because I
Mm-hmm.
love getting to know other people and hearing their stories and empathize and say, oh, I understand where you're coming from and this thing happened, and really get to the heart of what that artist wants to say. And I think sometimes the heart of what I want to say isn't necessarily something that, Caroline, you have music out. Like maybe there's stories that would not be authentic to you that I feel like I need to tell. And then, you're not going to put that song out. So, in some ways, I feel like whatever services the song is how I'd answer that question. Um, because I know, I deal with an autoimmune disease, and I think that's something important to talk about because people can feel alone in that. And I think somebody needs to sing those songs and write those songs. And I feel like it's my job to do that, because somebody's got to do it. But I don't know that Luke Combs is going to go on the radio and sing about that if that's not his truth. So, in some ways, I think it depends. I like to say that I will put on whatever hat serves the song. And I think so many of my favorite artists also do that for other writers, with other writers.
Yeah, I love
Mm.
that answer because I think too, like, it just comes from how genuine it is, of like, if I released a song about an autoimmune disease that I don't have, that's totally ingenuine,
Mm-hmm.
and like,
Right.
I'm not experiencing that. I'm living through your experience and singing it. And I don't know what I struggle with is like with songwriters that want to get their songs heard but don't have the artist platform to get them heard. It's
Mhm.
like, how do you find the right artist to sing that song if you're writing from your own genuine experience? How do you find that person?
Right. And I think so much, Nashville has really gone. I can't speak to, LA, New York, Atlanta, any of those places as well as Nashville since I've lived here going on 6 almost 7 years. But I know that Nashville had kind of been in this phase where people weren't taking outside songs. You weren't
Mm-hmm.
I wasn't going to be able to walk into a room and say, "Hey, I wrote this song by myself and I want Carrie Underwood to cut it." Maybe, but those
Mm-hmm.
songs were, I mean, to get one to slip through the cracks and really like that song would have to be the song of the
Mm-hmm.
century, which is great. I mean, great. And it does happen. And I think we're starting to see it again more. People are less afraid to cut outside songs now because, they always say, may the best song win.
Mm-hmm.
But now you're seeing a lot more of artists in the room with other writers saying, hey, here's my story, help me tell it the most authentic way I can. Because I think listeners and consumers, even if they can relate to songs, you can still kind of tell the difference and discern whether it comes from an authentic place. And these big artists That's why they get big, is because they're giving so much of themselves and it's authentic and genuine to them. And I think without that big piece, they wouldn't be who they are. So,
Absolutely.
yeah, I don't know. I love the idea of outside songs and all that too. But I think it's just interesting how much we see, especially with things like TikTok now, where anybody has access to putting their own music out too. The platforms have all just changed so fast. And I think there will be a big curve in how things change from song wise in the next few years and what that process looks like from the label side on the back end as well.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's such a good point too, because I'm thinking about working for a label but in publishing and seeing the songwriters on every song
Yeah.
and seeing like 10 writers on a song, but the artist is always a writer. It's very rare that the artist won't be a writer unless it's
Mhm.
a cover.
Mm-hmm.
So there's not those outside songs that are coming through, I
Right.
think, like they used to, especially
Well-
back in like the 60s and 70s.
And I mean, sometimes what happens is a song will be written and pitched to the artist, and the artist says, "Here, let me just change a few things." And then their
Mhm.
name is on the song, even if they weren't in the room at the first time. But I mean, in some ways, those songs would not be able to be delivered the way that they are delivered without that artist playing an integral role. So
Mhm.
it's
Yeah.
that's a hot topic. I know
Yeah.
that's like one of those button topics for people where, I have mixed feelings on that, but I've done it. I've been in rooms for big artists that I've never met to try
Mhm.
to write for their records coming out, and who knows if those songs will get picked up. They
Yeah.
put you in these rooms and they say, "All right, here's what we're writing for. Here's the people you're writing with, and this is what this artist wants. Good luck,"
And then
And
do they get a writing credit on it? Like, will they see it and maybe change a word and then get 10% or whatever?
a lot of that is covered by NDAs, is what I've learned a lot of the time. So I have
Yeah.
yet to discover. I
Mhm.
know, you hear about ghostwriters where
Yeah.
they're getting paid out on the song and their name's not on it, or
Mm.
or that, like you said, that's why you've got 10 plus writers. Is who knows? I know in some places they don't do this so much in Nashville, but in some places they'll count words, and it's like, oh well, I need
Mhm.
my 2.4% split because I had this line and this line, and so then everybody has their little portions on the song. And
Mhm.
in Nashville we're like, oh, there's two people in the room, okay, 50-50 split, let's go. Everybody's happy, but it's
Yeah.
interesting. Yeah.
That is interesting. Oh my God.
Yeah.
Counting words. Wow.
I know. I
Mhm.
can't. I mean, I know I've spent some time in LA and had I've never seen it firsthand where they're counting words or anything like that, but I remember I don't think I'd ever seen a split sheet in person. And then
Yeah.
I went there and was like, "Whoa. Yeah. Okay. Right."
Yeah. Yeah. That's so interesting because I also have, and maybe this is just my own personal beef, but if I see more than 5 writers on a song, I instantly think it's less genuine. Like, I don't know, because I'm like, okay, it took you this many people to figure out what you were trying to say, but what actually are you saying? Like, I'm curious what you have to say as an artist. Um, but I think that's also like my kind of issue, like with co-writing too, just in general. Like, I struggle with co-writing because I want to tell my own story. So if
Yeah.
I'm co-writing for a song that I'm going to release, I struggle. If I'm co-writing for someone else, I love it. But if it's for me, I'm like, but this is me. Like, this is
Yeah.
genuine. So I think that's interesting to hear those perspectives on it.
Yeah, and I think a lot of it is, most of the people that I write with when I write for myself as an artist are people that have become my best friends.
Yeah.
Because in order to
Mm-hmm.
get that authentic, hey, this is my story kind of sound, you have to be able to lay it all out on the table. And it's scary as, I don't know if we can curse here.
Yeah, you can.
It's
Oh,
scary as
Fuck
yeah.
shit.
yeah.
Wait a minute, what kind of podcast is this now?
We're not
It's
child
scary as
friendly.
shit. It's like I feel like you walk into these rooms, and I've been in rooms that, I've been set up in, and as where I'm the artist and I don't know the other people, and I walk in and it's like, all right, here is all the shit that has been weighing on my heart lately. Here you go. Nice to meet you. Let's write a song. And by the end of it, we're all drinking whiskey and crying, you know?
Yeah.
But I think that's also the best part of it. And I think that's in some ways why I have less of a hard time calling it work because it is heart work, you know?
hmm
You gotta be
Mm.
able to connect with other people and listen and empathize. And sometimes I think the best songwriters are the ones who are better listeners than they are at speaking
Oh, I
because
love that.
they can pull things out of you, you know? And that's the, I don't know, that's just the bread and butter to me is I think the best co-writers are the ones who can be like, hey, let's just hang out like we're best friends and let me help you tell this story in the most authentic way possible.
I love that.
It's just all finding, I think it's finding who you write well with, because I'm the same way. Sometimes I usually write every night by myself, whether it's just like a couple lines and I don't ever touch it again, but just to keep that muscle going. And um sometimes those things pour out where you get the start of a song and it's like, hey, I've got like 3 or 4 friends that I've got on speed dial that I'm like, hey, I had this idea. What do you think about this? Blah, 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 blah. How would you take it? Blah, 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 and really just doing whatever serves the song, I think is always personally my way of thinking is whatever serves that song is the way to go.
Yeah. Ugh, absolutely. Especially being in so many rooms with so many different people. I think I hope that like everyone would feel the same way in
Yeah.
what serves the song and putting ego aside.
Yeah. And I mean, you can see when I think everybody in the room knows when it isn't like that.
Yeah.
And you just have this it's easier to get stuck. You
Mhm.
get people talking over each other. And I'm
Mhm.
like, if y'all can't tell, it takes me 8 years to answer one question because I have horrible ADHD. And so I have to kind of figure out what I'm trying to say. But the same thing is with songwriting, I'm like,
Mhm.
if you have everybody trying to talk over each other the whole time, I'm in the corner going, I have no idea what's going on.
Yeah.
I'm like, okay, I'm just gonna
Yeah.
need a minute. And so I found that the best people for me to work with, at least for my artist project, are people who can not only speak and share, but and empathize, but are also not afraid to just take a step back and say, okay, I don't know what we're saying anymore. Just talk, tell the story. How do you feel?
Mhm. Mhm.
So,
Yeah.
Do you have any advice for songwriters who are looking to co-write more?
oh, yes. I mean, I can think of what people told me when I first moved to town because I didn't know anybody here. I had one professor at Belmont University that I had known when I was in Grammy Camp LA who was like my emergency. If you pop a tire on the side of the road, you give me a call. And he was the one person I knew, and he's a great, great, great guy. But I didn't know anybody. And so I think at the beginning of that, it is just finding out, like writing with everybody that you can, never saying no to an opportunity, and not being afraid to put yourself out there like that. Because
Mhm.
if you're not co-writing as much to, it's almost easier when you're starting out at the beginning because you have nothing to lose. You can
Mhm.
walk into these rooms and be so authentically yourself. It's like talking to a stranger at a bar. You can tell them your deepest, darkest secrets because they're like, well, I never got to see them again if I don't want to, right?
Mhm.
um, and so I think just being unequivocally yourself, just going for it and asking people to get coffee. Like
Mm.
a lot of
Mm.
times I really like to, most of these sessions, as I've gotten further into being in Nashville longer, I think now I'm being set up on more of these sessions that I don't necessarily know the people before, and you just kind of have to dig on them on the internet and stalk them and see, hey, this is what they sound like, this is what they like, where are they from? When I get the chance, and especially when I know I'm writing for myself as an artist, I like to go get coffee with whoever I'm writing with and
Mm,
keep that friendship and connection there, because I truly think that the better you get to know somebody, the more authentic your storytelling is with them.
mm,
Um, so just getting to know as many people you can and finding what fits. You can also have two great writers or three or four, whatever, in a room who are all fantastic songwriters, and it just might not gel together. And that is okay. That does not mean that you suck.
yeah.
Just means that maybe there's just something in the room that is not working that day, or you can try it again, or maybe that's just not a good combination, but you're all fantastic writers. Maybe you all have the same strengths, and you need
Hmm.
to find somebody whose strengths are different than yours to balance you out, and that's okay. So I think half of it is meeting a lot of people and not being afraid to do that, and not being afraid to say that you don't know and learn from all of those people, because you can learn something from everybody.
Hmm. Well said.
Um,
Yes, so true.
I feel
yeah,
like
if
my
you get
answers are so
tired,
long-winded.
if you get tired of the songwriting thing, you should be a life coach. Just,
Yeah,
you know,
honestly.
I mean, I hope you don't get tired of the songwriting thing, but I'm
Oh.
just saying, I'm like sitting here, I'm like tearing up. I'm like, yeah, you're right.
Oh.
Yeah.
Everything's okay. Everything's
I
gonna be
think
fine.
a lot of the times I know how I feel. It's just like I'm like circling around the point. Ah, finally, there it is. So
Yeah.
I don't think
Yeah.
anybody'd want to listen to me talk that long, but I appreciate that.
No, I love it. I love
Yes.
it.
Also, I was gonna say that you were my person in Nashville that I knew, because you
Oh, yeah.
remember when I got that thing stuck in my car and I had to call you and
Forgot about that.
Victoria to come help.
Yes, I totally forgot about that.
Aw, that's so
Caroline
cute.
bought something off what, Facebook Marketplace?
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah,
And I have a hatchback, luckily.
that
So we
was
got it all
horrendous.
figured out. She got there and was like, this is not gonna fit in my
And
car.
it was literally I couldn't just leave it because it was stuck in my car and I couldn't get it out, but I couldn't close the door to my car. And I was like, I can't just drive with the door open in my car. So I called Nicole and
But
her
you know
and
what?
Victoria came. But
I was so glad that you did, because
yeah,
it's hard to ask for help sometimes. And
Mm.
I don't know. I feel like as a Midwesterner, as a
yeah,
Midwesterner,
yeah,
yes, you can probably relate to this. It's like, oh,
hmm,
let me help you. That's my
yeah,
love language. Let me
yeah.
show you how much I care. I was like, we get to go help Caroline with
Yes.
something.
Well,
So
Nicole literally just picked up and said, "What did you do?"
yeah,
Knew that I was calling because I fucked up. She's like,
yeah.
Mom, I
Good
messed up.
question. Uh, your good friends are the ones that will let you sit in jail for a few hours to think about what they've done before they bail you out.
Yeah,
Yes,
a little lesson learning there.
yes.
Worm a bit.
So you've been in Nashville almost 7 years.
Yeah.
What is your favorite and least favorite thing about Nashville or the music scene specifically here?
I think my most favorite thing is the people, but also my least favorite thing is the people. No, my most favorite thing is definitely the people. And, you know, I think you really have to love songwriting and music, and you have to love it so much that you don't think there's anything else that fills your heart. Otherwise, if you don't, go choose something easier to do, because otherwise it'll spit you up. Or it'll
Mhm.
you, what did people say? It'll eat you up and spit you out. See, ADD, here we are. But I think my least favorite thing is, just like any workplace or school, anything like that, is people can get a little clicky. I think, you get your people who are like, oh, I'm going to write these bro country songs with these guys, and we're going to write these super indie pop songs with these people. And like, that's all great when it's so genuine. And most of the time, 9 times out of 10 it is. But they always say you move up with your crew. And I guess, I mean, Caroline, you knew me in high school, but I've just always kind of been like, maybe a little defiant when it comes to cliques, and
Mhm.
just want to be friends with everybody. And I think sometimes people can get stuck in this whole, I'm going to write with these people and these people are going to be my friends and I'm going to eat, live, and breathe that. When it's like, okay, but are you missing out on maybe some great connections of just heart connections. Even like if you are satisfied in your heart with those people around you all the time, that's one thing. But I think the worst thing that I see is when people feel like they can only write with their crew and only hang out with their crew. And it's like, man, y'all are really missing out on getting to know some really wonderful people. So, that being said, the people are still my favorites part because they're likely to also welcome you into that clique. It's not like some kind of, oh, you can't sit with us kind of thing. It's just like anything else. But I think I've always been kind of defiant on the whole clique thing. Like, we can all just sit and drink beer together. It's fine.
Yeah, that's so true too. And I definitely, even just visiting Nashville a couple times and being a Nashville outsider, like I can definitely see how that can become a thing. And I feel like maybe that's even just in any music city. Like that's yeah, well said.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah. I mean, and sometimes I can see why, because you find the people, sometimes it's
Right.
natural and you find the people you work well with. And, but I've always thought it was funny because in some ways I think my inability to adhere to that way of thinking has almost set me behind because I refuse to just stick to one group of people and not go try to learn other people's hearts, so
Yeah.
I'm like, great, like if I'm still getting great songs with those people and just really enjoying hanging out with those people, I'm always gonna do that. But I just think people can get a little stuck in their ways, as with most things, and I'm sure I do too, so I can't even sit here and be a hypocrite about it.
Mm-hmm.
It is just funny though. I think it's like you said, most music cities, but
Mm-hmm.
also probably if we were working in a corporate office, we would feel the same way.
Yes.
Yeah.
So
I
true.
think too, it's so hard to get into or get out of the mindset of if it ain't broke, don't fix it. Like people find something that works and then they just stick with it, even though there's so much more opportunity to learn and grow, but they're just fine with being in the same space because it's safe and it's comfortable and they know that they're going to get a good song out of it.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, totally.
Yeah. What advice do you have for women songwriters and artists trying to navigate the country genre?
That's a great question. I think, and I do a lot of the country pop thing, so sometimes I hate to say that I get pigeonholed specifically as a woman, but I went through a phase when I first started calling myself a pop country writer, where an artist, where I thought, oh, everybody hears one sound where they think of that in their head. And I almost convinced myself that I had to fit that mold of what they thought a pop country singer songwriter should sound like. And I was chasing what was on the radio already and just trying to adhere to the standard that is so high for specifically women in country music, who really only get 15% of radio time, which is still such a problem. It's gotten a little bit better. I'm a part of a group called Song Suffragettes here in Nashville that has really helped to fight that. And Martina McBride has leaded some big changes in women on country radio. But I think the best advice is just to not give a shit about any of that. Like seriously, if I could tell myself then what I know now, I would have stopped worrying so much about what's on the radio right then and just wrote what I wanted to write, because I have found so much more success in not giving a flying fuck.
Yes.
And
I
being
need that on a shirt. right
Yeah,
now.
yeah, I mean, it's like, why apologize for what you have to say? I think that's what
Mhm.
women have been taught for so
Mhm.
long, is to apologize
Centuries.
to themselves, and it's, you know, I have been in the stereotypical rooms where you have to, I've been, and everybody has in their mind what
Mhm.
that one situation where they can be taken advantage of in the music industry, and it doesn't happen. It, luckily to me, it has not happened a ton, but it has happened. And being willing to stand up for yourself and not give a shit how you sound and just be yourself, I think goes so much further than apologizing for who you are.
Mhm.
Yes. And
Mm.
men don't have to
Yes.
apologize for anything.
Mhm.
It is so angering.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know,
And they
it,
don't have the same expectations in terms of like genre. As you were saying, you hear women on the radio and you're like, okay, this is the sound that I need to be on the radio.
yeah.
And I feel like men don't think like that because they're like, I'm gonna get on the radio anyway,
Yeah.
I'm
It,
whoever.
right. I guess once you're already at that point too, and it's so, I've been really lucky to meet some really great guys in this town who
Mm-hmm.
care a lot about, I write with a lot of men who are really willing to go, how do you think as a woman, dot, dot, dot,
Mm-hmm.
or how do you think, period? Not as a
Mm-hmm.
woman, just like as a human being. What do you think about this? I value
Mm-hmm.
your opinion. I respect you. And I think my standard is so high for for men now because of the great few that I do have in my life, where I'm like, yeah, no, I'm not going to take shit from any of the ones who aren't worth that time, because I have those few great ones
Mhm.
that
Yeah.
remind me that I can do whatever the hell I want to do,
Mm-hmm.
you know?
And they'll
So,
vouch
Yeah.
for you too.
yeah.
Mhm.
I mean,
And
I hate to say it, but it's like it's so hard when like you want to be able to stand up for yourself and vouch for yourself, but in such a bro community, it's so hard like to insert yourself and stand up for yourself. So it's good to have those good men that are like, oh, you won't listen to women, but you'll listen to me in saying that this isn't okay,
Mhm.
which is just, it's shitty, but it's like, it's good to have those people in your corner.
yeah,
Mhm.
I do hear, I've been lucky that I haven't been hit by that too much.
Mm-hmm.
Specifically, I think because I also have been pursuing the artist side, but I also don't really, I mean, there's very specific types of different kind of country songwriting, I think, and
Mm-hmm.
I don't write as much of that like bro country
Yeah.
stuff on the radio, because I think I just realized like that is not me, you know?
Well,
Yeah.
I also don't think any woman is a writer on those songs because you hear them and you're like, no woman listened to this before it was released. Like, this is horrible. Like, this
Sometimes,
is so bad.
I do have a few friends who are professional songwriters that are writers who specifically love writing that kind of music, and they
Mm-hmm.
are great hangs. And I know that the few people that I'm thinking of that I know that do that have had to fight really hard to get
Mm-hmm.
into those rooms.
Mm.
But I think with this younger generation of people, you're not seeing it as much as, it was stigmatized a lot more 2, 3 generations ago. I think men are more willing to go, specifically men who want to write honest, empathetic songs.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Maybe that's, some of it's on the radio, some of it isn't, but I think those men are also more willing to go, yeah, I might need a woman for this. Maybe
Mm-hmm.
there's a gap here that I am not able to fill with my perspective. And I think
Mm-hmm.
I think men sometimes get a bad rap. Not, believe me, I'm not defending them. But I think I will defend the ones that care in ways that remind you that there are still men out there that care
Mm-hmm.
about that in this industry. Because I've been really blessed to have some great ones around me. But like you said, there's also the not so great ones.
Mm-hmm.
But I think the good thing is people are really coming around to that idea of that is not okay.
Yeah.
And it's finally working its way into the industry. I think it's
Mm-hmm.
less obvious the ways that women get discriminated against now than it used to
Mm-hmm.
be. you
Mhm.
know,
Yeah.
which in some
Yeah.
ways it's not necessarily great. It's still happening, but it's so much better than it used to be.
Mhm.
Mhm.
So,
Yeah, definitely.
yeah.
And the people that are very sexist are probably starting to die out. So,
Yeah.
not that I wish death on anybody, but that's
That's
a
a
lie. I definitely do wish death on a couple people. That's
Oh
just a
my
straight up lie.
god.
Oh,
We
anybody
won't
on my
get
team
into
is going to
that.
be like, who let her talk about this in an interview? Somebody strike that, Lord. Uh,
Which song that you have written for yourself or for someone else are you proudest of and why?
oh, Lord. I have some that are coming out this year that there's a song that I'm going to release. Honestly, I thought I was going to release it like this week, but I have been sick with some sinus stuff for the last literally month and a half. And I kind of, ended up pushing all that back. But there's a song that I'm about to release that I wrote by myself that I'm really proud of, because it was my first time that I think I really understood the value in just telling the truth.
Mm,
um it's basically, the song's called Tell You Everything, and it's just essentially a diary entry, and it's kind of a love song, but a lot of the verses is just a laundry list of things that I just needed to get off my chest about myself, and I never plan on showing it to anybody. And I did show it to somebody, and they're like, just put that on Instagram. Just do it. Just see what happens. If you don't feel comfortable with it 2 or 3 days from now, you can take it down. Okay. Ended up putting it out there, and the response that I received on that song was strong, and it was stronger than anything I'd seen before with any of my other music. And I ended up getting a call from ASCAP saying, hey, we want to have you in our 2021 GPS class, which is Nashville up and coming unsigned singer songwriters, because they were like, we think that, that was this one of the songs that helped me move into that crew, but also I think kind of believe in my voice, because that came from that, and some other people that had been willing to put their name on the line to send that song to them. And um people were like, this is so honest, this is so authentic. And it made me go, wow, the one song that I never was going to show anybody was the song that people connected to the most. And it didn't matter that it was specific. And I talk about a lot of different things in that song that you wouldn't just necessarily, like, there's specific things that not everybody would relate to, but everybody can relate to this idea of, I have these things in myself, about myself in my head, that I keep to myself, and seeing that work and the song serving itself made me go, wow, I've been thinking way too hard about this. So I'm really proud of that. um and it made me want to, and I'm still learning how to do this, but just get the hell out of my own way. And so I think the lessons that I learned from that song make me the most proud of it.
mhm,
Ah, wait, what's the name of the
mhm.
song?
It's called Tell You Everything. I
Ah.
thought about sending it actually, but I think my producer, I might get a little bit in trouble. So I I we're gonna start probably leaking it on TikTok this week or next. And then just kind of see what happens and just put it out. And that's kind of what I'm at this point. I'm like, let's just throw things out in the universe and see what happens. And no matter what happens, I'm just writing what I want to write. And that's got to be okay.
Yeah.
Yes.
Man,
Again,
I
life
love your
coach.
perspective.
Thank you.
Mhm.
Yes, you seem so wise beyond your years, and
How about
um
that?
no, truly. And that's so beautiful. I love that that happened for that song and for you, and I'm so excited to hear it.
Thank
So,
you.
gonna follow
I'm
you on
so excited
TikTok.
to put it out. I
Yay.
haven't really dug into it. I've got a lot of friends who, signed their record deals off of TikTok, and I'm like, okay, I dealt with a lot of sickness during COVID and the pandemic and like the height of all that. And I think I just kind of took the time to reset and I needed that and that's okay.
Mhm.
But now I'm like, oh shoot, like I feel like I blinked and there's a whole new thing out there. So
Yeah.
I'm like,
Mhm.
all right,
Yeah.
I got to get in with the kids now. I got a 13-year-old sister who knows all about it. And I'm going, Abby, how? I don't understand. What is this thing? This tick thing? I feel like your grandma. So finally trying to get with the times a little bit, get on the train while it's still moving.
It's
I
so
love
there's
it.
so many things to be on. You have to get on so many trains and they're
Oh,
all
yeah.
just
It's Grand Central
can't.
Station up in
It's
here. I
yeah, it's so
am going to New
overwhelming.
York this weekend.
Yes, get on those trains. Yeah.
Mm,
I love it.
That's
So this question's a bit of a heavy hitter. What goals do you have for your career in the next 5 years?
mm, that is. I
And it's
want.
okay to have no goals. I just want to make that clear
So
Yeah,
true.
to
that's a
us
good point.
and our listeners because I'm like sitting there reading that question. And I'm like, if I got asked that, I would say, fuck off. I'm not answering.
No, and
Yeah.
I think, I mean, I do have a clear cut set of like a checklist in my head of goals, but I think the more overarching themes are probably the more important and the actual answer of the question. Um, because it's changed a little bit in the last even 6 months because
Mm.
I, without getting, too crazy, I just have had a lot of things that have really changed my perspective on life. And I've seen some of my friends also start to hate this job
Mm.
because they are so stressed about it all the time. And I don't ever want to lose my love for the art of songwriting and craftsmanship of sound and all of that. That is what I grew up appreciating. So I guess my biggest goal would be to find more new ways to love it and not lose the spark that I found when I was 8 years old. Um, but also I would love to succeed by standards too of, I think I want a publishing deal. Most days I do. I want, I'll tell you this, I want the right publishing deal,
Yeah.
Mhm.
or I want to be in as many of those rooms as I can while owning my own publishing.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I do want a record deal. I think I'm not to the point where I'm chasing that right now. That will probably
Mhm.
be another year or two down the line. I have some life things I'm going to figure out first. But
Mhm.
above all that, too, my goal is to just let it all happen in the way that makes me happy. And right now I'm lucky enough that I can pay my bills doing this and put music out. And I never thought I'd even get to that place, growing up.
Yeah.
I wrote a letter to myself. Do you remember, Caroline? We had to write those letters to ourselves in like eighth grade, ninth grade.
Yep.
And I
I
read
don't think I
mine.
ever got mine.
You never got yours back?
Oh,
Maybe your mom's hiding it somewhere.
either you think maybe she read it and was like, oh God, she doesn't need to see this.
Oh my God.
Love you, mom.
Your
No,
childhood
I
bedroom in
don't
a box.
either. I was sick that day because I've had this conversation
Oh.
with other people that have gotten their letters. So either I was sick that day or it didn't come to me, or if it wasn't meant to happen, it wasn't meant to happen. Maybe
Maybe
I'll
you'll
get it
get
in
it in
10
a
more
few
years.
years. Yes,
Yeah.
you
Maybe in 10
really
more
do.
years they'll find me. I have moved a lot. So that could be also why I haven't received it.
Do you not remember writing it?
I don't really remember writing it.
Then maybe you were sick that day.
I think my memory is so poor that I can barely remember yesterday. So remembering
Same.
eighth grade is kind of traumatic.
Literally, that
I
is so
remember
fair. The
I remember
trauma.
trauma points, and that's about it.
See, that's funny. My brain is the exact opposite. I remember all the dumb shit, but I don't remember any of the trauma. I'm
Hey,
like, oh, block that out. All right.
love that. Love that.
Oh man. I remember writing those and I got mine and moved down here, whatever. And I had written in that letter, I want to write songs for Black River Publishing, which is Kelsey Ballerini was their big, still
Mm.
is, but that was their big claim at the time, and Josh Kerr, and I mean some of my favorite writers over there, and I wanted to play the song Suffragette round at the listening room because I grew up watching those online. And I remember having this moment where it was a Friday I wrote at Black River, and the Monday after that I made my song Suffragette debut.
Oh
And I
my
was like,
God.
holy crap. Now what? Like I didn't that would to me that was the ceiling.
Yeah.
I didn't think I'd ever get to do that. And now I think I'm going, okay, that was, this past year where I'm going, wow, I think I've really always thought that was going to be as high as I can go. And now I'm kind of like, all right, I need, a new letter.
Yes, you should write yourself a letter
That's a good idea.
now.
I think I might do that. You should do
Yeah.
it too. We'll mail them to each other.
Yeah. Yeah. And then you can hide it from me. Like
Yes.
my mom. I'm just kidding. I don't think she actually did that. That would be
Caroline's
hilarious,
mom, if
though.
you were watching,
If you're watching,
Lisa.
Lisa, it's Lisa's birthday today as we're recording.
Oh my God, happy birthday to Lisa.
I
Wow.
know. Oh, we love her.
Oh, she's
We've come to the final question.
oh boy, lay it on me.
I feel like this has gone so fast because I've just been absorbing everything you're saying.
I hope I'm not talking your ear off too much.
No.
I think it
I love
always
it.
feels like such a conversation that I'm like, oh my God, I'm not asking any questions. And I forget sometimes that that's the point, but it just still feels funny. I'm like, what's
Yeah,
going
you're
on?
like, wait,
I'm
this is
like,
all about me.
Please,
What?
I don't like this. I'm uncomfy.
So our final question is, why do you write songs?
Oh, because I can't not.
Mm-hmm.
Honest to God, if there was if there was any way around it, I think I would have picked anything else to do. I definitely would not have moved 500 miles away from home and dropped out of college if I
Mhm.
didn't know that this is what I had to do.
Yeah.
And I mean, I've been doing it now more than half my life, and professionally for the last couple years, in as a full-time artist, songwriter. But I can't see it any other way, and I wouldn't want it any other way. Even on the hardest day, I'm still so grateful to get to do this. Because the kid in that wrote that letter would be absolutely losing her shit at some of this stuff, And sometimes I think it's honestly, imposter syndrome is a huge thing. I know I deal with that all the time. I'm sure you guys do too. Like everybody
Mhm.
does. Anybody in this industry does.
Oh, yeah.
I think the only reason that I'm such a stubborn little that sometimes I will do that. Sometimes what keeps me going is how much spite I feel for imposter syndrome. So I'm like,
Yes.
"Ugh, I'm gonna do it just to show them and myself, who's them, I don't know, that I can. So, and just because I love it, and I love country music, and I love telling stories, and I love making somebody feel like, I don't know, making everybody feel like somebody, and I think that's the way that I know how to do it, and I'm never gonna stop doing it. They can try. Even if I would rather live in my car and get to write songs that mean something than, and luckily I don't, but if it ever happens, before I threw the towel in, I won't ever throw the towel in.
No, you better not. We'll be
No.
disappointed. And then this podcast episode won't make any sense. So you have to.
Who's that girl with the bells on her shirt?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, we are rooting for you. I mean, I am so proud of you. I know Megan just met you, but they are also proud of you.
Thank you.
So proud. Like just this podcast and how you've spoken about all these different topics and the way you carry yourself and like the music that you've shared with us that we're going to be playing at the end of this episode. So beautiful. I'm so lucky to have met you. This is amazing. Like congrats on all of your successes, and I hope to see so many more.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate that. And it's been great
Yeah.
getting to meet you. And Caroline, you know I love you. Have for 10 years now. So
Yeah, you're stuck with me.
so glad that you live in Nashville, and I hope we get to lighten our schedules at some point,
Yeah.
more of each other.
We're
Right now,
horrible.
we're definitely in that in the starving artist kind of phase of life right now, where it's
Mhm.
busy, but it's okay.
Mhm.
You know,
Yes.
enjoying every second of it, and hopefully someday down the line we'll be able to write songs in the morning and drink margaritas in the afternoon together for hours.
Ooh,
Yes.
yeah.
Ideal day. Ideal.
Ideal.
So, what song did you pick for our listeners to close the episode?
I picked one that I have not really leaked or anything like that yet. It's called Just Miss You. And I wrote it with a couple friends here in town. The demo, it's just a demo so far, but we want to put it out sometime this year. And I like just how there's very specific details in it, but it's just a broad, I mean, the idea is just miss you. Like the idea of not wanting somebody back, but still missing them
Mm.
was something I was really going through at the time we wrote this song. So I was like, well, if we're going to make it sad girl, can it be sad girl banger?
Yes.
Yes.
So I think this song is just kind of fun. It gets stuck in my head sometimes. So I don't know. I just like it.
Still go to that same dive, we'd hit every Wednesday. Hoping you'll be there, it still feels like our place. Every time I show up, you're gone too soon. And I just miss you. Deleted your number, but it's memorized. Picked a few new pillows to fill the empty side. Got rid of those pictures, sip one or two. Cause I just miss you. It ain't like I want you back, but boy, you mess me up. I just can't help but get back on the way it was. Is it twisted nostalgia? No, they hate me without you. Whatever I do, I just miss you. I met somebody, he's a real good guy. Does his best to listen, but can't read my mind. And when it's on my face, he can see it too. I just miss you. It ain't like I want you back, but boy, you mess me up. I just can't help but get back on the way it was. Is it twisted nostalgia? Do I hate me without you? Whatever I do, I go back to the way you would keep my hair tied wrapped up around your wrist. That nickname everyone calls me because you started it. I try to reframe it, but it doesn't change it. It sucks, but it's true. I just miss you. I just miss you. It ain't like I want you back, but boy, you mess me up. I just can't help but get back on the way it was. Is it twisted nostalgia? Do I hate me without you? Whatever I do, I go back to the way you would keep my hair tied wrapped up around your wrist. That nickname everyone calls me because you started it. I try to reframe it, but it doesn't change it. It sucks, but it's true. I just miss you. The way you would keep my hair tied wrapped up around your wrist. That nickname everyone calls me because you started it. Is it twisted nostalgia?